Alright, hello internet people. A few of you guys have been asking me for a video of my whole setup, and this is it. I'm going to walk you through each step of it, maze of PVC steps, and show you how I get oil in these cubes. I pick it up. Can't really see through this at all. It's pretty nasty, pretty dark, and this is from the exact same batch 2 days later. It's clear as can be, no particles resting in it. This has been sitting for probably about a week and no water at the bottom or anything. So first step I do is I pick up these cubies. I come in here and I log on this sheet what restaurant I got them from, and then the date I picked them up, and then the date I filter it. This is my board for my first step of my process, my heat and settle stage. So I literally pour, let me grab the screen so I can show you. I have one of these screens. This is rated to 200 micron, and it sits right inside the lip of this barrel, and I pour the oil through there. Once I get it filled, I leave it about 2 inches from the top. There's actually a line in here. If you get one of these, that you can barely see, I'll leave it about to there, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, so that when I heat it, the oil can expand. You can see I have this barrel lid propped open. I do that so that there's, as you're heating it, if you have it sealed closed, you'll actually get condensation that'll form on top, so the water will actually go to the top also, and you don't really want that. So you want that water to escape. And then as you're heating it, the goal is that the water and particles will go to the bottom and the clean oil will go to the top. So I turn it on. You can see here I did on April 9th, I turned it on 11 a.m. It was 60 degrees. By 6:30 at night it was 115 degrees. By 10:17 it was 130 degrees. The next day it was at 150 degrees. So I try to let it set. This is probably overkill, and I know several of you will argue this, but I let it set for a full 24 hours at a high heat, and then I turn it off. When I turn it off, I do take this out. This is just a piece of PVC. But then when I do turn off the heat band, I'll pull this PVC out, so then it's the heat will stay in there longer, but there's no more condensation that should be forming since there's not generating more heat. And I let it cool down. You can see where I turned it off on the 10th. The 12th it was at 60 degrees, and I try to at least let it set for another day or two at lower temperatures. So this time for 3 days it's set with no heat. The way I heat it is with this band on the bottom. They're kind of expensive. I stumbled on that one for a good price, so I went with that. You can use heater elements. There's lots of things. If you have any questions on that, just shoot me an email. My name on Biofuels Technologies is GreeceMonkey, or you can shoot me an email at kaf7979@gmail.com, and I'll answer this. So then the next stage, I'll actually do this for you, is I turn on the pump. This pump right here pumps from about 8 inches up on this barrel. I have 2 nozzles. The bottom one is what I use to drain junk off. Probably every like 5 or 6 cycles I'll actually drain off like a gallon or 2 before I actually start pumping to my stage 2. This isn't one of the cycles, so I won't do that, but all I do is open this lever, put a little barrel underneath it, catch it. When I turn on this pump, it'll go up. Via this pump, it'll pump it up and go into this barrel. This is basically just a storage barrel. It's just higher so that I can gravity feed it. I'm in the process of wiring all these pumps up, so I'll have switches. Right now I just made a banana clip extension cord, or cut an extension cord and put banana clips on it. That way I could use it with multiple pumps. So you can see me, and I'll pump this one, but this is a headache, and you have exposed wires and all that, and that's why I would put the switches in. But that is going to be part of a bigger project where I'm going to attempt to automate it all and put sensors. So that's it. So that pump's on. What I always do first is, one thing you'll need to always crack the lid of this just so air can get in there so you don't build up suction. And I'll usually turn on the pump first, but the second I turn it on, I then try to open the nozzle immediately. I do it that way so it's automatically pulling. If you open it first and then you turn on suction, sometimes it can pull from the bottom first, and I've seen nasty stuff come out first. So I'll turn it on and open it. That's now grabbing oil from here. So I'll show you what this looks like inside. You can see the bubbles coming up, sucking oil out, and it's dumping it into there. And we'll just watch this for a second and see the level just start dropping. Slightly cooler than watching paint dry. It's already got about 3 inches in there. On the opposite side, you can see this. I want to explain this next step while it's pumping, but so this right here, I call it pressure point. It's basically once the oil gets that level, it's hard to get out this bottom, and that's based off of the way I did this heater setup. I'd probably do that differently, but it works, and then just allows an extra like 20 gallons sitting there and heat and settle. So you can see that slowly rising. We're at about almost 30 gallons. So this is my next step. I built this little pipe bomb heater. So I call it pipe bomb heater. It's just regular 1/2 inch pipe that you get at the hardware store for gas lines. I fitted it with a water heater element, a 110 or 120 volt one. And this is also what your thermostat looks like in your water heater. So the thermostat just takes temperature reading off the back. And then if it's, I have this one set at 150 degrees. So as long as the temperature is at 150 degrees or higher, it'll actually turn this off. I also, off of the water heater element, you can see these 2 wires. They go over to this light bulb, and that's just basically there for my own knowledge. Whenever the light bulb's on, I know the heater's on. So this weird loop, which is causing the issue of why I don't get stuck below the pressure point, is because before I want to see what the oil looked like going in. This is just because I'm curious. You don't have to do that. And if I did it again, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably just take it straight in. But what happens is I used to have this just going straight into here. When I did that, this will actually get so hot, 150 degrees or higher, that it melted this, and all the oil that was in my tank all just seeped out all over the floor. So I put this extra loop in there so the heat, it only gets hot to about right here, so cause that's the same level as this. So this all up here stays nice and cool, and this is still cold. It's a sweet watch my niece got me for Christmas, and she should know I use it every day. I'll show you what I use that for later, but it's perfect, and it kind of makes it look even more like a pipe bomb, which is awesome. And then the next stage, this is probably the coolest thing in science, the centrifuge. So the oil drops in here, gets heated up, seeps out through here, and I seep it out at about 8 gallons an hour. That negates down to, not negates, wrong word, but it ends up being about 8 ounces every 30 seconds or 16 ounces every minute. And so what I do is I start pouring it in, adjust this right here, little screw of a knob I put on there, and the oil will dump into here. This spins so fast that the oil sticks to the outside wall, or the inside wall. It's kind of like the Gravitron rider you rode when you were a kid and you'd stick to the wall. So the oil and gunk will stick to the inside of the wall. This bowl will eventually fill all the way up with fluid. When it fills all the way up with fluid, the clean oil, the oil drops in right here, rolls to the back, works its way up this wall, and then by then all the water that's in it and all the particles will actually stick on the inside of the bowl, and the clean oil just rolls out over the edge. So that's pretty awesome. You'll get to see that here in a second. I'll actually go on ahead and start up my stage 2. This is almost full. So what I do, and it comes out of the centrifuge and goes into this storage barrel. This barrel I have, maybe an unnecessary step also, but I like it. This is a 1 micron canister filter, also expensive, so if you don't have it, and it might be unnecessary, I don't know if I'd do it. Again, I got it for really cheap, and so I just tried to add this extra step in. So I'm doing all heat and settle, centrifuging, and filtering. So I store it in here so that I can eventually pump it through here, and once this gets all the way full is when I do it. I also have a heater bait on here just to keep it warm. Anytime the oil is warm, it pumps through these filters a lot easier. This right now is about 3 inches from the top, and you can see how much we've sucked out of here now. It's almost to the bottom. So I'm going to turn it off. Again, same thing. I'll actually close this valve first, and then unplug it. Alright, so hopefully you heard all that over the pumps. Next step is this wire right here goes down, goes to that heater ring, so I'll turn that on. And next is this wire, which goes to my pipe bomb heater, and I plug it in. You can see the light turns on because now it's heating. So we'll come back over here and I open up the main valve. I did this with just PVC fittings. This is a 1-inch PVC valve, and then on the other side, on the inside, I used a 1-inch screw-in piece. I had a really nice flat adapter. I think it went up to like a 2-inch pipe, so it was real nice and flat. And then these O-rings are 1-inch O-rings that you can get in the plumbing section. I believe they use them for sinks. So I open this. Now the heater's on. It's heating up all that oil inside there. And what I typically do is I'll wait until the light goes off. And when the light goes off the first time, that's when I will start letting it in. So I'll go ahead and let a little in just to show you guys. When I open this, you can see the oil pouring out. So I'm going to add a chunk of oil in here, and you'll actually see what happens. When this is off, there's actually holes in there, so it'll actually drain down into this waste bucket. Before it can drain, I'm going to spin this so you can see what happens to the oil. And right now, all the oil is up against the wall. And so you can imagine if this fills up all the way, as it slows down, it comes back down. But just from my hand spinning it, it puts up against the wall. So if the barrels, or if this bowl is all the way full, the particles will stick to the back and then start pouring out over the edge. So now I'll plug it in. I have plugs everywhere, so I can't wait for all this to get wired up on switches. But when I plug it in, see how much faster it spins it. The oil actually sticks all up to the wall. And just to reiterate, if I slow it down, you'll see the oil come back down. So when that fills up, the oil will start pouring over the edge. So I'm going to go and crank it on. You can see how it's sticking there. And this heat is still going, so I'm going to skip a step. Once this is all the way full again, I would turn on this pump right here, and this pump sucks from that barrel, goes up, forces the oil through a screen in here, and then out. Then I have, it's all dusty because I was cutting some stuff, but you can see the different colors. It gets lighter at each step. This one goes underneath, comes up, and you can see dirty feed was going that way before, the clean comes out this way. So we go across. And this is kind of confusing looking probably, but it's pretty simple. The first thing I do is when I turn on that pump, I put this pipe on here and I pump directly down into this 55-gallon drum. While it's doing that, I'll usually get a mason jar and I'll take off 2 mason jars full off this test line. And then I'll pour those back into there so it can go back in. But the goal is to get fresh oil in here from the process, and then I'll fill up about a shot glass full, and I'll have it on this hot pan. And so this stage is also maybe you don't need this whole separate tank, but I liked it in case there is a problem. So I'll then do the hot pan test. Hot pan test, you take about a 1/4-inch size, you can see my other videos, 1/4-inch size of the oil out of your shot glass, pour it in there once it's on high heat. First turn it on high heat. This one takes probably like 5 minutes to warm up. You'll start seeing it smoke. When it smokes, then what you do is you'll put like just a finger swab on there of the oil, and you'll see it like burning the oil off, and that's exactly what you want. That's how you know it's hot enough. You pour in a 1/4-inch size. If you see any crackling, bubbles, popping, you know your oil's bad, and you need to repeat this whole process again. Only one time out of like probably 10 times have I seen that. And if that happens, that's why I have this tank. I can then turn this pump on, and I can pump through here, right back in to my starting tank, and repeat the whole process all over again. However, if it's all good, which is what typically has been happening lately, then I turn on this pump down here, and I keep this one closed. I shut the one back off, the input one. I close this one back off, and that forces the oil to go up through this one. And this is my outside valve. And that valve goes into my basement, comes out here, goes down this pipe, and into this massive storage tank, which holds 330 gallons, about 110 gallons right now. So that's pretty much it on the back end. Back over here, the heat's off, so we can see it. So I'm just gonna drop it in. Again, earlier I said I could explain why about 8 gallons a minute, or 8 gallons an hour, sorry. So the way you do that is you adjust this. And it's kind of become like an art. You just learn how to eyeball it. I'm gonna stay here for a second. You'll see the bowl start filling up and you can start seeing it comes over. But that's what I do with this watch. So thank you, Sissy, for the watch. I then take my mason jar and I'll pull this out. This hose is just sticking in there. You can buy this lid on the same website that I get all my other stuff from. I can send you a link to that if you want it. But I just cut a hole in it, put the hose in it. And this has markings on the side for ounces 8 and 16. And I just sit here and time it. And if it's under 30 seconds to get 8 ounces, then I speed up the flow. So, but I know it's about that amount is the flow. Ends up being about 1/16 of an inch that comes out of my pipe. You can see this starting to fill up more and more.